When you feel like life has dealt you a hand of unfair cards, instead of folding, you double down and you stuck in the game. You faced battles, you felt broken, but hey, do us a favor, put your hand on your heart. You feel that? You're still here. Welcome to the Resilience Files Unlocked, where survival meets transformation. Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Carrie Burnett.
I'm Angelica Washington.
And I'm Jesse B. Evans.
And this is
The Resilience Files Unlocked.
Trigger warning about today's episode. We will be discussing grief and loss, so please feel free to take care of yourself however you need.
And disclaimer, we are not therapists. We're not here to diagnose. We're not here to give clinical advice. We're only here to share stories and hopefully inspire our listeners.
Yay!
So sit back, relax, and get ready for Elise Neal.
That's right. So today we have two celebrities in the building. We are so excited to have our celebrity guest, Elise Neal, whose story we are about to hear from. However, we are going to have our celebrity actor read the essay that Elise Neal wrote about her story. And as usual, they'll be reading it in the first person. We're really excited to be having Mariani Johnson on today. She is an actress, an influencer, creator. You may have seen her on TikTok, RIP TikTok. But she has millions and millions of views on her content. And we're super excited that she is able to read the story of Elise today.
My name is Elise Neal. I'm an actress, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and producer. Some may know me from John Singleton's Rosewood, The Hughleys, Money Talks, Scream 2, All of Us, Hustle and Flow, The Black Hamptons, or just the fun, bubbly fashionista you'll run into in LA. I was raised in Memphis, Tennessee by two loving parents, but my mom was always my biggest cheerleader. She was the kind of mom who never missed a single moment, whether it was a dance recital, a cheerleading practice, or driving miles and miles for dance competitions. I was lucky enough to be talented and win most of the time, but no trophy or medal could ever match the time and effort she gave me. She made every moment of my budding career a great time, and those memories remain some of my happiest. Fast forward, I earned a full scholarship to PCPA in Philadelphia as a dance major, and from there, I moved to New York City, determined to follow my dreams and becoming the next Debbie Allen. But God had a different plan for me: acting. After finding success with John Singleton's Rosewood playing Scrappy and Money Talks as Paula, my path shifted forward toward television. I landed the role of D.L. Hughleys' wife on the hit show The Hughleys, a dream job that came with a live audience, a chance to make millions laugh every week. It was a thrilling time in my life. The Hughleys became wildly popular, and I was finally becoming a household name. I was living a high highs kind of career moment you pray for. But life, as it often does, threw me into an unimaginable low low at the very same time. One evening, I had just came home from pre-taping an episode. My assistant and decorator were at my new house, working on kitchen renovations. And the energy was light, and life seemed as good as it can get. Then the phone rang. It was my grandmother. Her voice cracked as she said, "Your mom, she's gone." I froze. My world stopped in that instant. My mother, my biggest cheerleader, was gone. We knew she had health complications, but there was no sign she was near death. No time to prepare. Nothing. I collapsed on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. I asked my assistant and everyone to leave, then left herself to give me some space. I stayed there on the ground, unable to move, paralyzed by the weight of the loss. Eventually, I forced myself to stand. I thought about calling the airlines to book a flight home to Memphis, but then reality hit me like a second wave. You have a job. You had already pre-taped 40% of the episode for the week, and there was no way to work around it. I had to go back and finish filming. The show, as they say, must go on. The next day I went to work. I told jokes in front of a live audience, making people laugh while I cried inside. I had to summon every ounce of strength and deliver what felt like the performance of my life, pretending everything was okay when my world had just shattered. I held back tears between takes, keeping the grief locked away because that's what the job required of me. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, and I wouldn't wish that kind of pain on anyone. Once we wrapped the episode, I got on a plane to Memphis to bury my mother. She wasn't just my mom. She was my biggest supporter, the woman who drove me to every practice, clapped the loudest at every performance, and believed in me when no one else did. Losing her felt like losing a part of myself. But even in the midst of the unbearable grief, I felt her presence. I knew she was still watching, still cheering me on, just from a different place now. My cheerleader had been sent to heaven, but her love and belief in me would carry me through. It still does. That loss taught me something profound. Life doesn't stop even when we want it to. Sometimes the show must go on, even when your heart is breaking. And sometimes the strength to keep going isn't ours alone. It comes from those who loved us first, who cheered on us when we couldn't see the finish line.
Wow. Oh my God.
What?
That's a lot. Wow.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mari,
so
for
much.
reading that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wow, guys.
All right, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let me just give a caveat of just listening to Elise's story really resonated a lot, even with myself this past year, losing my dad unexpectedly out of nowhere and having to do the welfare check and identifying his body and doing that literally 2 months after I got hit by a car and was still in a boot walking on crutches. And like, life doesn't just stop because loss happens. And I think so many people can resonate with this episode. So I'm so excited that we're going to bring who I consider a dear friend of mine, Elise Neal, an incredible actress that so many have been able to laugh at, from her amazing comedy and jokes and just her sense of personality. So without further ado, should we bring her out?
We should.
Elise, thank you so much again for being with us today. You are looking hot and stunning.
You need to stop. Anything for you. I was not expected to have such a deep conversation, but when my friend Carrie, and shout out to our hometown of Memphis, Tennessee, I actually look at her like a little baby sister and someone I'm trying to guide in her journey into the entertainment business. So she told me about the podcast, and so I'm here.
Yes, and I am so inspired by Elise. God, I'm so emotional, honestly, hearing your story. And I think like realizing myself how I lost my dad in the midst of like going through such a crazy year, and to see how you were able to still push through and prevail. And you were a series regular on the show, and you were, having to already carry your entire cast and yourself. Can you take us back prior to that moment of life? Can you tell us about your upbringing with your mom?
Well, yeah, as I laid out, and again, I told myself before I walked through this door, I'm just going to maybe seem a little more stoic, so I'm not bawling in the middle of your podcast, because, my mom was very close to me. But, growing up in Memphis, Tennessee, and wanting to be in the business of entertainment was not easy to begin with. And having someone like my mom, who was my biggest cheerleader, I was raised by both of my parents, Julius Neal, and my mom, Arletha Neal. But, I started in entertainment at the age of 6, wanting to be the next Debbie Allen. That was my goal. Tap, jazz, ballet my way to a full scholarship, as you guys know. And moved away from home from the first time when I went to college, and lived in Philadelphia and went to college and started to learn from all of my classmates, like what the entertainment business was. And they would share with me, like, we take the cheap train and we go up to New York and we audition. I'm like, word? Okay, let's go. And so, I just learned the ropes as I went. I was very open to new ideas. And that's another thing I tell everybody in life: be open to new ideas, because, so many things I'm not sure, you'll never get out of your own head. But I think also it was because I was so young and excited that I didn't even question any idea. But yeah, so growing up in Memphis, getting the ropes in entertainment in New York, doing musicals, doing shows, doing traveling companies. I have 5 passports from all of the musical revivals that I've done in my career. This is all before anyone even knew my name. So then transitioning into acting, I've done tons of commercials, also in New York. So it's a long journey if I take the time to say it. But
Wow, can we say something? Hold
Yeah.
up. Y'all heard that? By the age of 6, she was working and doing it. Okay, so some people, we be trying to say it should happen overnight. And sometimes it might start at the age of 6 or 10 or 20 or wherever you're at.
wherever your journey, but at the end of the day, I think I knew what I wanted to do. And I know a lot of times certain people, it takes them a moment to decide what that is. But I was blessed with that want early in life. So it was easier to just be like, this is the next step. Learn what the next step is. Learn what the next step is and keep going. But my mom, when I was growing up, took me to every cheerleading practice, took me to all of the competitions as a dancer. Some of them would be out of state, so we would drive because, us Black people back then, we didn't have that fly money. So we would get in the car and it would just be a road trip. But we always bonded about the fact that's what I wanted to do. I'm the youngest. And I just enjoyed like being in the car, telling stories on the way, practicing on the way. It was just, she was always there. And that's why she was so important to me, because she was always there and championing my journey.
Oh, that's really beautiful. I can relate. I grew up, I did cheerleading and sports, I did gymnastics and things like that. And my mom is that for me as well. So I can relate so deeply. Something that you said that really stood out to me was, through that journey that you've had, that you're shared, which is incredible, by the way. Thank you so much for being here. And that you have had
a Hollywood legend.
Like a
over
literal
here,
legend.
triple threat,
Your resume is like what actors dream about, like we look on IMDb and to see your resumes, like that's like what every actor like dreams to be able to accomplish. So
Thank you.
I just want to say that. And also, moving into like when you booked the Hughleys and you're on this show and you're doing that, and you said in your essay that you were at the highs and then you hit like a low.
Yes.
What that juxtaposition was so it really stood out to me. I'm curious to hear more of like what that experience was like on the Hughleys a bit, and then like how that switch.
Well, being on a hit sitcom on a major network is awesome. I don't know how else to say that, DL, that was his first job as a lead himself. So it was actually kind of fun to be on the set because I was like the brains who had done it before. And so I was like, hey, go left. When they say, he was like, what's camera left? What's camera right? And I'm like, when it's opposite. So I kind of taught him. But we got our groove. We're doing the show. And it was, every day was awesome. I have no regrets or nothing to say other than just a great time. And, really the first time I was like number 2 on the call sheet and a lead in my first television show that I was the lead of.
Yes.
My first TV show was Sequest in DSV on NBC, but this was my second show and had a lot of responsibility. And again, when that's something that people don't talk about, which is one reason why I said I'm going to push through this episode, Carrie.
I love you.
Because I didn't want to. I'm being honest. I didn't want to. But what I want people to understand is being in this business, sometimes life is unexpected. And just because you are having an unexpected experience in your life, a multi-million-dollar enterprise is not going to stop because of your personal life. And you're going to have to decide how you're going to handle that in 24 hours sometimes.
Wow.
So I think about that to this day. My first reaction was, I'm not calling anybody. I'm just getting ready to leave. I just found this out. So I don't care about any of this. I want to go. Then I had that second thought of, I care not only about DL, who I bonded with at this point, I care about my producers. I care that I don't want to leave them in the lurch because that would just be disrespectful, one, and I'm a Southern girl first. And 2, like, I don't want them to have to figure that out. We've already shot 50% of this. And, you know, there's nothing I can do. Like, there really wasn't. Like, in TV, you guys, you know, you do a day where they call it your pre-tape day, because they don't want to spend the whole day with the audience doing the whole episode. So you have a very heavy pre-tape day that you shoot most of a sitcom. So we had already shot 50%. So how is that going to work if all of a sudden I disappear when I was in the episode already? So it was really like, what are my options, you know? And you really have to decide, are you just going to be that person that's just going to just disappear, lose a job, lose friends, lose a network of people who care about you and love you? Or are you just going to woman up or man up, tell them what's going on, and figure out the best solution together? And so I just chose option B and decided to go and figure it out together. It was hard as hell. I hope I never have to do that again in life. But I did it. And I feel like, obviously, months later, I grew from it. Like, you know, that was really the best way to handle it. And nothing will probably ever be as difficult as that. So I feel like my armor about a difficult time on set, the bar was already here after I'm so sorry, after my first show with them. So, yeah.
Can you take us back to the day after you found out you had to be on set? How would you describe like your frame of mind? Were you numb? Like how did you get through that day?
Well, so I find out after the pre-tape. So it's already like 7:00 at night. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's already 7:00. We've already shot a whole day.
Right.
So after I bawled for like 4 or 5 hours and got up off the floor, it was like, I got to start making some calls and some emails because, like I said, ghetto Elise from Memphis is like, well, I'm getting ready to get on the plane. I don't care what nobody say.
Right.
Then it's that, yeah, that's not right. You know, that's not right. That's what my heart wants to do, but that's not going to be right for this, what we're doing. So I just started to call around, call the producers, let everybody know, call DL, let everybody know. So they were all aware, and they made some adjustments to the script that I didn't do as much that day, but I still had to come into work the next day.
Do you remember the last conversation that you had with your mom?
I don't. It's a very weird thing when you lose a parent in that way. And to me, I consider it a club that I don't wish on anyone.
Yeah.
So mentally, I don't. I think I've blocked out a lot of things about it. No, I don't remember the last call, but, you know, we talked all the time, you know, so I don't know what we talked about, or I don't remember what we talked about. But like I said, no one was prepared for that.
Yeah. I think right now, especially here in LA, we are, you know, dealing with the wildfires.
Yeah.
And so many people have lost their entire lives
Yes.
in their homes, and they've had to relocate. And the reality of all of this is that they still have to go to work. They still have to show up for their families. They still have to pay the bills and credit card debts and mortgage payments and rent. And things don't stop. The loans are not going to be just canceled because they experienced something so unexpected and destructive.
Exactly. And that's life, you know. That, again, like I said, it was a horrible thing, but it was a big life lesson.
Yeah.
You know, we all want to do what we want to do all the time, and we all want things to be smooth as we want them to be. But honestly, life is not like that, you know, and it really taught me a lot about being a grown up and owning up to something that's not perfect, but knowing that you have responsibility. And again, for this, it was a huge ABC network, which is who I was responsible to be on the show and tell my story. But I guarantee you, it would not have been as understanding if I would have just left. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I probably would have been fired and never came back.
Right.
And that takes incredible strength for you to be able to think in that way in that moment.
Yes.
To be able to like, okay, I have to think about.
So that part I do remember, because it was that after you cry and after it's going on, I grabbed the phone, like, let me call the airport. You see, right in that moment, it's like, I'm calling. Then when I grabbed the phone, I think that's when I thought, wait a minute.
I have a job.
I was just at work earlier today. Then that's when it started to hit me. Like, I can't just call the airport. I can't just get on a plane tonight.
Yeah.
I can't do that. So I gotta stomach it, deal with it, tell them what it is. Even though in my mind it's like it's not their business, but it kind of is.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's like it's as difficult as any day where you know you're not going to work. That's the simple part. But it's really, you have a responsibility to your employer.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like I said, I think when I grabbed the phone to get ready to make calls, that's when it hit me. Like, I can't just get on the plane. Like, what am I going to do? Let them help me figure this out.
And there's so many people depending on you, especially when you're that high up on the call
crew.
sheet. There's
Yeah.
crew.
It's a whole
there's
crew. It's a whole
casting.
network. It's
Yeah.
the whole
Right.
directors. We've already shot half of it. So I'm expecting them to spend another $1 million
Right.
because I can't come back.
Yeah, it reminds me, it's not like a regular no call, no show.
Exactly.
You know, like
No.
our job is very different. When you're an entertainer, there's millions of dollars, hundreds of people's
Facts.
jobs. All of
Yeah.
these things are relying on you as a performer.
Exactly.
Yeah. And all the
Exactly.
casting process it went through
Yeah.
and every person's job leading up to this moment.
And the biggest thing for me, I think, was because we had already done it. I'm gonna keep it
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
hadn't already shot,
Right.
Different story.
If it was just
I may have been a
rehearsals.
different story. right. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we just shot.
But I think
half of
this
the
is a
thing.
good point, though. I think what so many people can relate to is how can you maybe take us through the process of how you navigated dealing with such an extreme loss and reality of like grieving and still having to work?
Crazy day. So, okay. So you go to work. 1st thing you do, you go to hair and makeup, right? So I go to hair and makeup. I let them know what happened. Be sure you're standing right next to me because probably every scene I'm going to need you to touch me up because I'm just faking it right now.
Right.
And that's really how I went through the taping. Like having hair and makeup right next to me, you know, try to make the joke work
Yeah.
and get through the scenes and I told them I just need all the help you guys can give me today.
So it sounds like to me, one of the things, in case someone's listening today that may be navigating an extreme loss, is that sometimes you have to also tell people around you what's going on so they can
Yes.
support you in that process.
Yes.
Yes.
And, you know, if you need the help, they're there to help lift you as you go through it because work won't stop, unfortunately, unless...
Not
No.
in what we do, no.
Yeah.
Right. And communication is key in all areas of life. That's what I try to tell people. Like a lot of people, in my opinion, are not good communicators. But I promise you guys, you have to communicate. It's hard.
Yeah.
It is difficult to, you know, woman up or man up and say the hard stuff or be honest about what's going on with you. And I'll take it a step further because I can only speak for myself. Again, I'm only speaking for myself. I feel like that keeps me sane. I communicate. I'm not in the best place. I'm gonna need a minute today. My mother just passed, or I'm just having a bad day. So please give me space today. Be easy with me. Or hey, I'm not understanding what is going on with you. Are you okay?
Yeah.
It's communication. It goes a long way in life in
Yes.
healing.
Yes.
Because if you're bottling all of that up and you're being different than what you would normally be, everybody's going to be confused.
Correct. And I do want to make a point. I think that we all, as people, especially with the fires going on and the loss in New Orleans and then the loss in Vegas with the Cybertruck blowing up, all this stuff, we have space in our bodies. Most humans do, I should say, of like, we care about people.
Right.
And if we know what's going on, even if it's hard to discuss it and talk about it, communicating will give you a kind of a piggy bank of empathy points that people can be like, you know what? I'm going to give them some slack for the next couple of months.
Exactly.
I'm going to give them some room. I'm not going to criticize them or say, you know what? I'm going to come and support them instead of tearing them down because I think sometimes people don't understand what's going on. And the reality is that they lost their dog. They lost their cat. Their
Right.
house got taken away from them.
Yes.
Things have happened. But sometimes we bottle this up because we're so scared to share it. But you have to share
Let it out.
Sometimes
Let it out.
people can't always help you if they don't know what's going on with you.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I think we have a personal. So Angelica is my best friend, and we have a personal experience with that. And that, I know that for me, when it comes to my feelings and how I'm feeling, I don't know if it's like a man thing or what, but I don't want to tell you like if I'm feeling weak or if I'm feeling whatever. So when we went to Mexico last year, and this was about 6 months after what happened to me happened. I was stabbed in the spine and I was paralyzed on one side of my body, and I had to learn how to walk again. And so it was really painful for me to like walk long distances. And I was terrible in Mexico. I was just not having a great time because I was in so much pain.
Right.
But I didn't communicate that to anybody. Nobody knew.
You would have just said it. If you would have just said it, they would have gave you free food. They would have been coming to make
helped me.
help you.
Right,
They
out.
just
exactly.
gave you
But I did.
space.
I
I
was
think
like-
we would have given you more space too, instead
Exactly.
of being like, "Why aren't we doing this? You're gonna go here. We're gonna," because we were being a lot, and so, but we were like, we're on a trip. We're in Mexico.
Like, why is he not participating?
yeah, like why aren't you
Right.
excited? Why aren't you participating?
And I understand that, as a man, that is the attitude that men are grown up with, but it's better to communicate.
Yeah.
I agree.
It really is.
It's
I
okay to
think
ask for help, men.
Yeah, and women and
Tell
them there, whoever you are, ask for help because I think we all can relate. We've all experienced loss. We all have experienced some crazy incident. And I think the hardest part for me when I was in the hospital after I literally got hit by a car, 13 broken bones in my face, just got finished with surgery, I was crying and I was so scared. I was in so much pain laying there. And they were like, "Ma'am, you haven't peed in like over 48 hours. You got to pee." And I was like, "I can't pee." But I was so scared to ask for help on how to pee because I was like, I'm bothering people.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to feel like I'm weighing down other people because of my problems, because of my loss, because of my thing, But whoever you are, if you're listening today, just know that we want to help you. Somebody wants to help carry that load with you.
Yes.
You're not designed to carry this all by yourself.
Right.
Like, we as a world need to be more empathetic, and a lot of people in the world are empathetic. So allow the people that are to be there for you.
Exactly. And you know what? And going back to what you said about the fires, I also we all, I'm sure, hate that what's going on in this city. I've lived in California over 27 years, and I've seen, I moved here right after the Northquake, the Northridge earthquake.
Oh, wow.
And baby, I thought that was the worst thing ever. And I was like, I'm going back to New York. But after like being here, and there's mudslides and there's things all the time.
Yeah.
And we have never experienced anything as horrible as what's gone on in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And, dealing with loss is something I obviously now you guys know I'm aware of, and what I see is, the city being what we all know the city can be. And that is like rallying behind each other,
Right.
food drives, clothing drives, celebrities being of service and having different pop-ups to help. And that's been really, really great to see. But also, again, that's because people know that you need the help.
Right.
And if
Right.
you do not let everybody in enough to know what you need, you're missing out on the great stuff that could happen for you.
Yeah, and also to add, because with the fires, what I think has been so beautiful is like really seeing. Well, it's terrible, but what I mean is the community has really shown up for the
100%.
people.
Yes.
I've really seen that. I know there's been a lot on social media and in the world, like just putting LA down because a lot of the houses are more expensive. But like at the end of the day, like the people are people, and this is their home, and this is their everything.
Yeah, I did a whole TikTok about it. I said,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's memories.
Yes.
It could be the simplest thing that you have in your home that now that you've lost. It could be a $2 blanket that was your first baby and you kept it all those years and now that's gone. It could be a 1 cent something that you was, as you mentioned, in Mexico and you and your friends, that was the best trip ever. Now that's gone.
Right.
It's not about the value of the house. It's about the value of the memories of the person that lived there.
Right.
And all of that is now gone.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't like, obviously, I'm sure you guys didn't either, seeing those comparisons about rich. But we do know we live in a world where a lot of people are not happy with people being more elite than them. But sometimes in life, you know, it's okay. And you don't have to hate on the fact that someone's home was, you know, over $3 million. That still does not make them inhuman.
Correct.
And that still does not mean that they possibly had memories that some of them could have been, you know, $2.
Yeah.
But they miss that, and they miss having a place to call home.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think adversity, what we need to realize is adversity does not discriminate. It doesn't matter if you are white, black, Mexican, Asian,
part.
mixed, this, that, or next. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Like Elise just said, it's about the memories that were built there.
Yeah.
And some of these people's homes, y'all, they bought them in the 1980s when it was much cheaper.
Exactly.
$80,000, $100,000.
And their
Exactly.
parents was working their butts off to make it work.
Right.
So
True.
in one way or another, we all have worked hard for something that we loved and
Yes.
valued and we wanted, regardless if it was our first cell phone, first car, first home, or whatever.
Right.
So it does not
Preach.
discount them.
Right.
You know? And I think like taking it back to like your unexpected loss during that time, I would love for you to help take our guests and our listeners today through like steps to help navigate their loss. Like, what do you think is the first thing that you did? Did you go to therapy? Did you watch some comedy shows? Did you turn on music? Did you call your family? Did you do anything like different, like right after, in order to, you know, continue to grieve the loss, but also kind of like continue to work because the show must go on?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, again, my circumstance was so weird and so quick, and so there wasn't a lot of time to think in the moment, right? So, you know, after the episode was shot, I believe I went on a red eye that night, and then I went straight to Memphis, Tennessee. And after I got to Memphis, there was a whole other discord. I don't know if anybody has lost parents or other people. Then you've got to figure out a funeral, and you've got to figure out those things. And sometimes that's not fun either.
Right.
But I think I just was there with family and just handling the details. But after the smoke cleared and I came back to LA, because that's where I was able to finally like have some peace after everything.
Because funeral planning,
You are,
I can
you
tell
already
you because you know
and it
somebody
was
got-
unexpected, and it was unexpected.
Yeah, especially unexpected. And no, all family members, I hate to say this, we all don't have the same amount of money. So sometimes everybody want to make it there, then you, whoever the person that is usually working the most,
Yeah.
is then responsible for helping the other people come. And then I can tell you, I knew this was a part of your story because it was a part of mine. No disrespect to anybody who hears this. I love you all, okay? But you can go ahead. I think that's important for people to hear.
I mean, I was just autopilot when I was dealing with that. To be honest, that is something I work on a lot. I will tune things out. If it's too much mentally, I'll just tune it out. I'll just go on autopilot because that's the best way to deal with it. And there was a lot of discourse because there was no preparation. So, I mean, I was writing checks, just writing checks. Which also didn't really allow me space to grieve in the moment. But, like I said, once I got back to LA, I'm more of a let me just do some yoga. Let me figure out me first before I try to have someone try. To me, I like to figure out what's going on with me and see if I can deal with figuring out my happy, and then bring in someone else. Because I love therapy and I've done it before. I didn't do it with this because I wanted to feel it. I wanted to feel it. I didn't initially get chance to cry 5 days
Yeah.
about my mother's passing. It was sudden. It was go to work. It was get on a plane. It was get to Memphis. It was write checks. It was deal with that. It was these people arguing. It was this, it's that. Now I'm back. Let me breathe. Let me just take a woosah for myself. And I think not giving a personal shout out, but it is something I do a lot when I'm in a bad moment. I'll go to a spa. Like I went to Burke Williams, did a spa just to kind of just be alone and get a massage and just.
I love a spa.
I really
A
want
good
to.
massage will do wonders just for you to just calm down. And obviously it puts you to sleep.
Yeah.
So then I finally had like a good night's sleep, and I just really didn't do anything for a while. You know, I just didn't do a lot for a moment.
Was there anything specific that you can recall that like maybe a friend or maybe your team or any coworkers that did anything that supported you, where you felt supported?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm leaving that part out because to me, losing a parent and losing one that you're close to, that's always going to shine biggest to anything.
Totally.
Yes, of course. My friends were bringing flowers. My friends were calling, being supportive, making sure I was okay. All of those things was happening. But again, I was really just focused on trying to make sure I was going to be all right, because it was really what was going on with me. And no one else, even none of my other family members or sisters, like dealt with what I had to deal with because they weren't on the show.
Right.
Because that was a lot, you know? So I think once I realized I was okay, then I can kind of just say, okay, now what are we as a family going to do next? And then I think I just started to heal myself about it.
I just want to commend you for that incredible display of emotional intelligence and saying
Thank
to
you.
yourself, like, I want to feel it.
Yeah.
Because I know that was not my first instinct. And I wish that it was.
Yeah.
But that is incredibly self-aware. And it speaks to why you're such an incredible actress. To be that emotionally like in tune with yourself, to be like, yeah, I'm going to go to a therapist, but right now I need to feel this.
I wanted to cry as long as I wanted to cry. I wanted to wake up sad and be thinking about her. I wanted to feel all of that. And I am a Pisces, so I have a lot of emotions already. But I wanted to feel that. I wanted to feel all of that because I didn't and wasn't able to allow myself to feel all of it in the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, I bawled for a lot once we got the call. But I still had to wake up, dry my eyes, and get to work the next day.
Yeah.
So
And it's incredible because you're going to feel it regardless. Whether you allow yourself to or not, it's going to come.
Oh, it was there. That's why I told the maker, Merce Arsenault, by the way, shout out to her. We're still friends. I told her, like, girl, just stand there in the wings.
Yeah. But I
Just
think
stand
that's
there in the wings.
Yeah, and I think that's so important for our listeners that's listening is that it's okay to feel and you
Yes.
need to go through the feeling
Yes.
process
Yes.
and to cry and to let it out. Because just like Jessie said, I relate to Jessie too. It was hard for me to feel it. Like even now, I know I bought up probably like I have 2 years of cry in me that's gonna come out one day on some point, and I don't know. I'm gonna flood myself in a river and have to swim past the tears because that's how much tears is in there. But so don't be like me. Be like Elise.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the
And
main
cry.
takeaway for the
Be like Elise.
episode.
Like she
Be like
said,
Elise.
look, she still went to work. She cried. She slept in the bed.
Right.
She was sad. She felt it, thought about
Yes,
the memories,
Lord.
thought about all that. And then she kept going on. She still worked. And she
Yes.
said, you know what? I'm going to tell my coworker, hey, stand, be on fly. So even if you're not on set, maybe you're at the office, tell your girl coworker, your boy coworker, whoever they are, be like, yo, I might need a tissue. If I start crying in this
Right.
thing, tell them I'm in the bathroom because I'm taking number 2.
Yep.
Whatever you got to do. Okay?
So it sounds like what I'm gathering to the most is like you really, in order to heal, we need to feel.
Ooh. Put it on a t-shirt.
You know, like in order to heal, we need to feel. Like we have to let ourselves go through
Facts.
it in order to even like sometimes to see even the light.
Yeah, and
you know?
I think it's because I'm not big on signs, but I know myself at this age, and I feel like I am one who likes to feel it because it does keep me from cursing people out. it does help me have answers as opposed to so much like chaos in my mind.
Right.
I prefer to feel it, speak it, say it, the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Okay, you don't want to talk about it today, but I'm gonna ask you again tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk about it. I'm not quick to leave a situation. I want to hear it. I want to understand you. And then maybe we can try to understand each other.
Yeah.
Then if we can't, we just make a decision. But I'm very much that person who's always been like that. I want to talk it through.
I love that. And as we wrap up, can you just leave our listeners with one set of advice after they feel it and they are going to work and they're pushing through, and now they need to go on with their life. And it doesn't mean that they forget about the loss, but they have to elevate in their career. They have to focus more on what needs to be focused on, and they can't lay in the bed for 2 hours this time. They only can do it for 10 minutes. You know, what does that look like? And what
I think life is unexpected. So that's the biggest takeaway. Life is unexpected, y'all. And you can sit and try to make all the plans in the world, but sometimes there's going to be a curveball. And you're going to have to allow yourself to deal with the curveball, because nothing in life goes straight forward. There's always some twists and turns. And if you allow yourself the grace to be present, I'm always telling her that. She is so sick of me. I tell, be present. Be present.
It's true.
Feel the emotion. What is it? Be there. Be a blessing to someone and really listen to each other. Really try to understand each other. And I don't want to take too much time, but I feel like I was blessed with both careers, and I'll tell you why. I know we got to wrap up. You know, my journey was living in New York, early 90s, you know, just the beginning of like AIDS, just the beginning of understanding people who were not straight. And me working with so many individuals in this entertainment industry, especially being a dancer, singer, chorus girl, who, especially the guys who did not want to say that they were gay. But again, I feel like my path has been a blessing because it's shown me empathy, because I have been empathetic to all of my peers and people I've worked with who are of all races, all colors, all creeds, most of my life. So I'm not biased. And again, in life, you just have to roll with it. Everybody's not the same. One day you're going to be different and you don't want to be the same. So, and it's okay. But if you give yourself grace, you'll be all right.
Amen.
Amen to that. Give yourself grace.
Well, thank you so much, Elise,
You're welcome.
for
Thank
stopping
you.
by.
Welcome.
This has
Thank
been
you guys for
incredible.
having me.
Thank you for
Incredible
so much
gems.
for coming. If you have any socials you'd like to share so people could follow you and find you.
Sure. I mean, you can follow me on Instagram. It's verified at Elise Neal. I have my YouTube channel. It's the Elise Neal. I think that's the most I use. Well, I'll say TikTok, but you know, we don't know what's getting ready to happen. We don't know what's getting ready to happen, but it's Elise Neal ENT. It's also verified. I have a lot more fun on that app. But so RIP if it's gone.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you guys. I think it was an important conversation.
Absolutely. And we hope if you're listening today that you are not only inspired to kick, grief in the butt, although it may still be with you for the rest of your life. It's okay.
It's okay.
But we, like Elise has said, know that life has curveballs. It's inevitable. It's going to happen to all of us. And if you do one thing, you feel it and you keep going.
Mm-hmm.
You feel it, you have empathy for others, and they will offer empathy to you. And you can do it. And thank you, Elise. You're amazing.
You're welcome,
We
sweetheart.
love you.
Thank you.
Yay.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
When you feel like life has dealt you a hand of unfair cards, instead of voting, you double down and you stuck in the game. You faced battles. You felt broken. But hey, do us a favor. Put your hand on your heart. You feel that? You're still here. Welcome to the Resilience Files Unlocked, where survival meets transformation.